From inventions to pollution and recycling, I talk about what's changing in the world, the future, and how we can help with that. Every month I'll talk about a different future theme. For example, the future of science, tech, sustainability, reading, music, and all sorts of other ones. The future of everything. What are you wearing? What are you wearing? Some of the labels said 100% recyclable, but actually it's only talking about the label, not the actual clothing itself.
Yeah. So I think it's just being clear to customers about exactly what it is, building trust and being honest. Sustainable as a word, I don't really like it because it doesn't mean anything. Sustainability isn't just about, I've got a biodegradable piece of packaging. It's about a lot more than that.
Until we did the research for this podcast, I hadn't really thought that much about the way that companies sell us clothes and what they say. It's so easy just to go online and order something quickly, and there's so much choice.
I think what's happened with buying things is that it's a reactive, emotional response rather than a mindful response. And that's what marketing does.
Maybe they were feeling sad so they couldn't see their friends. Maybe meant that they bought some clothes to cheer themselves up without thinking about it.
I do. I think it's about changing how our behaviour is actually. I'm actually waiting though for a car to be invented so I can actually use waste, a bit of garden waste or a banana skin, a bit like Back to the Future.
Yeah, Mr. Fusion. I really want that. You could make something that uses the Mr. Fusion to turn it into organic cotton so you can make organic clothes. It'll be hard.
Yeah, that's cool.
A veg-heads burger, pizza palm fries and a veg-heads burger. Plant-based menu, pizza palm fries and a veg-heads burger. I see that veg-heads already offers takeaway and delivery from apps like Deliveroo. I read on the Institute of Engineering and Technology website that this contactless service will develop even more in the future. For example, Burger King America are trying out a locker, like you get a swimming pool, so you can just take your food out of it. And McDonald's are looking at AI when people place their orders in the drive-through. What do you think about this?
If I'm honest, I don't know if I like the idea. There's a lot to consider. I'm very aware that people are losing connection with each other, and that doesn't help with your mental health. Even if you are 100% protected from any sort of viruses, it's always nice to say hello and smile at someone. Imagine trying to do that with a robot.
If you talk with a normal person, it's like a special feeling.
Yeah.
But a robot wouldn't have that. It was haven't developed enough.
And I think it's important that we don't go too far in that direction, because otherwise it just adds to another issue that we're facing, which is too much convenience.
Jack to the Future presents Futuristic Monopoly. Imagine a futuristic board where the counters are all futuristic things, like an electric car, a state-of-the-art compost bin and a reusable, recyclable water bottle. Places like Mayfair would be replaced with Eco-Lane. You'd have to go to jail in the game if you use single-use plastic or you don't have a air source heat pump in your house. Rather than buying a house in the game, you could rent it instead. People could still win multiple houses as an investment, but instead of building hotels, they could rent them out to other players, like staying in an Airbnb.
Do you think there'll be more technology to buy or sell homes in the future?
I think the property industry are increasingly using artificial intelligence. We're using algorithms to see when people are looking to move, even before they've decided to move.
Imagine if bots showed people around houses when they were looking to buy. I think it would be a little bit odd because we're used to having people showing us around, and when they're showing you around a house, they have that persuasive voice that makes you want to actually buy the house. But whereas a robot doesn't really have that sort of tune in their voice.
I agree with you, Jack. A big part of my job is the persuasive techniques and sales tactics. And I think that is something that can't be mimicked by robots. Yes, potentially a robot could open a front door and give access to a property, but I still think people like to deal with a human. I think it's that trust element of letting somebody into your home.
Well, I think they might eat a plant-based turkey, maybe, and some insects and more vegan and vegetarian foods and things like that. Probably because of global warming, that will affect our crops, and it will probably get too hot for the animals to live there, and it will become all desertification, and we won't have as much meat and vegetables as we will now. I think some things may stay the same, like decorating your tree, going for a walk and seeing the Christmas lights, eating Christmas dinner with family, and exchanging presents. But other things like Christmas trees, you might rent them because you basically have to cut them down and then they die in your living room or wherever you keep them. So if you rent one, that will be better. Or you could have a hologram of one, or you could have it on VR. They might get an online gift voucher, which they can go on a VR holiday experience. But what they really want is to actually be there and not just be technology based.
Do you think acronyms will replace a real language in the future? For example, IDK. Do you know what that is?
I'm guessing I don't know.
It is, yeah.
Technology changes language, and we adapt it to that way of communicating. Is definitely a benefit. It's so much quicker and easier to write it all out. But if we tried to speak in using acronyms, it might get a bit confusing.
Because there's so many words out there that could stand for something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think play is how maths will be taught in the future?
I think the more people can get used to maths being just fun and playful, the more they'll enjoy it, and then the more they'll learn. I love maths and magic tricks, for example. I have a very good friend called Matt Park, and he's a juggler and a mathematician, and he can simultaneously solve and juggle 3 Rubik's Cubes.
At the same time?
At the same time.
Can equations predict the future?
Some things are easier to predict than others. So some things you can predict really well into the future. We already talked about another formula which predicts the future, and that is if you put, say, a cake in the oven, then you use a formula. What that formula predicts is that if you keep it in the oven for too long, it gets burnt. And if you keep it in the oven not long enough, it won't cook. Other things we can't predict so well. So I can't predict what you're going to be doing tomorrow evening.
Is the future of maths technology just computers, do you think?
Nowadays, computers don't mean the end of maths. It means you can do more and more with maths.
Yeah, I agree.
What is geometry? Do you have a favourite shape?
That's a great question. So I do have a favourite shape. I'm going to try to describe it to you. My favourite shape is a shape which from one angle looks like a triangle, another angle looks like a square, and from another angle looks like a circle.
A square.
A squangle, maybe.
As usual, I did my research for the topic of entrepreneurship. The biggest challenge was actually to pronounce the word entrepreneur. No. Entrepreneur? Entrepreneur? It's French and means undertaker or adventurer. So it's somebody who does exciting things, not someone who arranges funerals.
What advice would you give someone to become an entrepreneur?
So follow their dreams and what they want to do. Also, you'd need perseverance.
It is hard work.
Well, I guess it can't be that easy, otherwise everyone would be an entrepreneur, right?
Do you think in the future that there will be more entrepreneurs?
In the future, I do think there will be more entrepreneurs. 1, because they want to and they can. And 2, because there won't be enough jobs to go around. Technology has made it a lot easier for us to start a business than it ever has. I think there'll be lots more young entrepreneurs because you don't have to be a grown-up to make money doing something you love.
To be honest, the only time I listen to radio really is when I'm in the car. I tend to stream music instead. So I think the future of radio is that they need to get younger broadcasters for children. I think that would be a better sort of thing, whether they're at the same age as me and appreciate the same things. Is there a future for radio? What do you think?
I definitely think there is a future for live radio. I think specifically in terms of reaching younger audiences, it's about making it more accessible. Essentially take the content that they may have put out live on the radio and repurpose it, say in the form of a podcast or something that people can stream on the go.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. We read that voice control to listen to the radio might develop in the future. Maybe other appliances you may use. You might ask your oven to put on music. We also read about 3D sound to create a more immersive experience. And so if it played a certain song on the radio, like from Katy Perry, the song Fireworks, and then you could actually see and hear fireworks, or by Jack Johnson, Banana Pancakes.
That'd be good to taste pancakes while you're listening to the song.
So we could add that to it, maybe.
Join me next time exciting episode of Jack to the Future.